So I'm very happy to be introducing Ajay Patel, who is the President and CEO of Vancouver Community College since 2020. He has a great journey. He'll tell you more detail after, but I'll just share a little bit to start. His journey begins in Fiji and continues here in East Vancouver and now Burnaby. His story, and he'll share, it's going to show you a lot about today's theme, his resiliency, his ability to change and adapt as a person of color, and also as a person with a hearing disability. AJ's lifelong contributions have been widely recognized through leadership roles in different organizations such as Sport BC, the BC Recreation and Parks Association, and Vancouver Sports Strategy. This year, AJ was inducted into the Canada Games Hall of Honor ahead of the St. John's 2025 Canada Games for his significant contributions to the Canada Games movement and Canadian sport initiatives. He has been awarded the City of Vancouver's Volunteer of the Year Award, the Top 25 Canadian Immigrants, and the King Charles III Coronation Medal. This year, he was also named in Vancouver Magazine's annual Power 50 list for 2025. An amazing honor to have him here with us today. Please, everyone, welcome our keynote address today from Ajay Patel entitled Leading Through Change, an Immigrant's Journey of Resilience.
Thanks for that introduction there, I will start out by saying that all those awards is the reflection of Vancouver Community College, a reflection of family, friends, community supporters, some of you in the room here today as well. So thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to be here with all of you today. I have to admit, when Olga and Marina first called me up and said, we want you to, well, it came through Jane first, like, they want you to be at the MOSAIC conference. I said, oh yeah, okay, no problem. Then I get on a call with Olga and Marina and said, you're a keynote speaker. I'm like, really? I'll tell you why I say that. It's a bit of imposter syndrome for me personally. Only because each of you have that journey as well, right? And so, they're all different and they're all very valuable and we learn from all of them, but we all have different journeys, and so any one of you could be up here sharing your story as well, and so I want to share that with you. Thank you, Olga and MOSAIC, for inviting me on, and the incredible work that you do. We have a great partnership with MOSAIC, but more importantly, the incredible work that you do throughout British Columbia for the communities, for newcomers, for families, making it a safe space, making it a supportive space, and creating the networking opportunities. You know, one of the things I love about gatherings like this, where it's a number of immigrants or immigrant professionals coming together, I hope this is not the case, but this has been my experience. There's always a quiet optimism, and I think that we should be a little bit louder about that optimism. And that's probably the humbleness or the humility in each and every one of us. And so I encourage you to, some of you have been boldly coming up to me, I encourage you to boldly go up to other people as well, and then take that skill outside of here and help your personal journey, whether it's professional, personal, and that. But also the energy that comes with that quiet optimism, of dreams, of hopes, of stories to share. And I will share my own story with you in hopes that it reminds you of your own personal story in some way. Before I begin, I also want to acknowledge that we are the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people who have been stewards of these lands since time immemorial, where I personally have had the privilege to work, learn, live, and play throughout my life in Canada here. I'm very thankful for that privilege, and very thankful for the opportunity that it's given my family as well. Also, my own personal reconciliation journey as someone that was a person of color, and I'll talk about losing my cultural identity at a young age, but reconciliation has helped me understand that connection to the lands, the importance of what these lands mean to the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh and Coast Salish people, and some of you that come from an Indian background or South Asian background understand the importance of lands. My grandparents and my grandparents were farmers, and that land gave them food, it gave them security, it gave them opportunity, and so those are the types of things. And so being able to embark on my own personal reconciliation journey and understanding the connection to the land, but also connecting it to my own personal cultural identity has been really valuable. And so I'm very thankful to the First Nations and the Coast Salish people for being able to help me with that personally. As I mentioned, this room is filled with different stories, stories of courage, stories of sacrifice, and stories of strength. And I think the theme today is very appropriate given the current context we're in. And you know, Sunita referred to it, Olga referred to it. It's really, really important. Ava mentioned as well. Each of us as immigrants to Canada have walked a path of challenge and hope. And as I share my story, it's my story, but you will see parts of it echoed in your own personal journey. But know that every journey is uniquely powerful and we learn from each other. BCC, we are proud of that relationship with MOSAIC because we can share those journeys together. We have all the way from building service programs, partnerships, to supporting immigrant services on campus, to also helping our international students. MOSAIC plays a significant role and has been a long-standing partner, and I want to thank my colleague Michael Yu in Partnership Development Office. Oh, Rachel's here too. Oh, so welcome, and thank you very much for all the work that you do to help that. One of the things that I really personally believe in is a culture is strong when we work together and for each other, and it becomes extremely weak when you work against each other or you're just very selfish. And this is why a partnership with MOSAIC matters for us. It's when we work together, we turn possibility into progress, and progress provides opportunities, not just for new immigrants, it provides opportunity for everybody, for this province, for this country, and for the world. And so it's really, really important that these partnerships matter. It's no secret that we live in a time of constant change, but everybody's mentioned this earlier, the three speakers. Newcomers are critical to Canada and British Columbia's growth and our workforce. But the world around us is becoming more increasingly complex and unpredictable as well. We're seeing global economic shifts. You're seeing a lot of war and instability in regions that impact us directly or indirectly. Acceleration of climate change that's creating havoc. The introduction of artificial intelligence is transforming industries faster than we ever have imagined, and it's changing how work is defined. And sadly, there is a rise in anti-immigrant sentiments in parts of the world, including here in Canada. And then we have the challenges we face in our own backyards: housing affordability, food crises, other stressors, and things that bring us that. So it is a time of change. But all those forces make one thing clear for me: resilience matters more now than ever. And our ability to adapt, our ability to learn, and our ability to build, or in some cases rebuild, is what allows individuals, families, and institutions to succeed in uncertain times. So I want to share a bit of my own story, and many like yours that probably began with a leap of faith, but probably I'll say I didn't know it was a leap of faith at that time. So I was born in Fiji, but my background is from the state of Gujarat, Gujarati, from India. My grandfather immigrated from India. At that time, India was part of the Commonwealth, and so was Fiji. And so my grandfather decided to immigrate shortly after India independence to Fiji to try and make a better life for himself and what ultimately became a better life for my parents and myself. When he made that immigrant journey, him and my grandmother with what was my eldest uncle, my dad wasn't born at that time, and a couple of his sisters, they arrived in Fiji with less than what was $5 or would have been £5 at that time in their pockets. And my grandfather started off by selling peanuts outside theaters to make ends meet. And then the family was born, and slowly we opened up a general merchant store. And that general merchant store sold things like natural gas if you needed propane tanks. It sold goods, dry goods, vegetables, alcohol, spirits, things like that. Things that you need in day-to-day work, day-to-day lives. And so he made that opportunity for everybody. And the others in our family were born, including myself. I think one of the things my grandfather really believed in was that the only way we were going to get out of this challenge was going to be education. And so he, and along with my mom and dad, decided in the late 70s that myself and my middle brother were going to go to Canada and we're going to go get an education. It was a patriarchal decision at that time. I'm sure my mother will tell you that she didn't agree with it. And yeah, they decided we were going to go. But somebody had to stay back to run the store and to support us while we were going to be here, even though we had family here. So my grandfather and my aunt at that time came with me and my brother, and my mom initially accompanied us on the journey. Dad stayed back. And so that was the start of our immigrant journey, and I still have a photo at the Nandi International Airport of us departing. And so here we land in the late 70s into what is Vancouver, or East Vancouver. When I look back at it now, and I'll share some parts of it, that separation was really a trust, and it was life-changing for everybody in our family. And as I share this story, many of you will know this types of sacrifices, leaving parents, partners, children behind, carrying both gratitude, but a lot of guilt as well. So, me and my brother arrived here in Vancouver. Everything really felt foreign. The weather was cold. It was September. The language was a bit of a challenge, obviously. I had some English while I was going to school in Fiji, but I came with an accent. Don't have it anymore, obviously. So that was a little bit difficult. Certainly didn't wear the clothes and things that others had here. We certainly didn't have the money that some people would have had. And thrust into a school system and culture that I didn't know. My aunt and grandfather spoke very little English, and so they got whatever jobs they could, either cleaning, cooking, supporting families, made a few bucks, but most of this financial support came from my parents in Fiji. And I still remember, sometimes it was difficult to send money, so Dad would write letters and stuff, pounds into, or US dollars into an envelope and hope it makes it to us. That's how we made ends meet at the beginning there. My aunt and grandfather, like I said, barely spoke English, so and my brother was very young. And the weight of the family was something I felt a lot of, whether that was something simple as going to, what was RBC Bank, by the way, on Kingsway and Joyce. Kingsway and Rose, but now Kingsway and Joyce. Communicating to the teller what my grandfather wanted to do. And because he didn't trust the bank book, he kept his own little bank book as well, which was kind of funny. And I still have it. But it was really interesting. Buying groceries, we didn't have a car, couldn't take transit, so you walked up Kingsway to get milk from the Safeway, walk back, it would be a Saturday morning journey, those types of things. But now that I reflect on those years a bit, I realized that I couldn't have seen the whole path as I sat here before you today. But taking that first step was really, really important of responsibility. So here I go, starting school, elementary school and high school, dressed funny, green pants, checkered shirt, things that were not normal, certainly didn't have Nike shoes and those things. So you really felt like you were an outsider at times. And that's where I think I struggled with my own cultural identity until probably pretty much through high school as well. I just wanted to be this white blonde-haired guy. I didn't want to be this brown guy. And certainly didn't want to admit, that I ate curry for dinner or anything. I wanted to take sandwiches. And so it was a real challenge. Some of that was my own doing, and some of that clearly was how I was being made to feel. And so I went through this whole cultural identity and really angry at my own personal background. Anger at my parents, probably a little bit of guilt, sometimes angry at my grandfather, my aunt, and sometimes the family. Not all the time. And certainly had my brother, who I felt a whole responsibility to as well. And to give you some sense, that was in the late 70s. My parents didn't immigrate to Canada till 1991. And so I went through high school, and they did come to my high school graduation. In between, I did go back and visit them, so that wasn't an issue. I still kept connection with them, but I didn't have that bond, that emotional bond that you have with your parents. And I had it with my aunt and my grandfather to a certain extent, but I had to find those emotional bonds elsewhere, but I couldn't find it in anybody. There wasn't enough leaders that were people of color that you could lean on. Found it in family at times, and so it was a challenge. As I got into the later years of high school, things became a little bit better because the group I was graduating with, we were from various cultural backgrounds, and so you started to lean on each other and better accept yourselves, but I still found myself struggling and angry at times. So those early years were really confusing. I felt torn between two different worlds, trying to be Canadian enough, but trying to figure out how to hold on to cultural roots. Some of you that know the Hindu religion, you do pujas or prayers. You know, there's times I resisted that, or times I just did it in the home and didn't want to go to the temple, those types of things. So one of my turning points was actually, I started at what was VCC, Langara campus way back then. And I started, just like most South Asian family, I didn't want to become a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, because anything else was not acceptable at that time. And so, of course, I want to go and become an engineer, so I went to what was VCC Langara campus and failed out my first year, because I was terrible at math, and so the hopes and dreams of being an engineer got squashed pretty fast there. And then I went out and worked in the workforce, and Dad decided, well, you know what, come back. This is before he immigrated here. Why don't you come back to Fiji and maybe run the general merchant store? My grandfather convinced him, no, that's not going to happen, send him to school. So we decided I'd go to Australia. Well, that didn't work out too well, too expensive. And so here I am coming back to Vancouver in my second go-around. And then my dad and mom at that time decided they were going to immigrate here, and so I started what was a small family business in Osoyoos. And then quickly, mom and dad listened to grandfather again and said, this guy's going back to school. So I went back to VCC Langara, and I ended up taking a course called Introduction to Sport Medicine. This instructor named Harry Linvoy, and I got just passionate about sport. I'd always played sport, but never had the opportunity, because one of the things I did since the age of 9 till end of high school was deliver papers and 2 paper routes, so we had money to spend. And so I never got to participate in a lot of extracurricular organized activity, in sport particularly, but I had this whole passion for sport. So I started doing this course and really got excited about what is now known as kinesiology. At that time it was called human performance. And Harry was a mentor, and he really made me excited about this. And that's where I started finding my passion. And through that, and remember Harry, he'll come back in my life here a bit. Through that passion, I learned about coaching sciences, and I actually ended up coaching, being an assistant coach for what was Langara's women's soccer team with a gentleman named Doug Gordon. And I will tell you the truth, I only wanted to be the assistant coach because I was hoping I could get a date. Little did I know that I might actually be a decent coach. And so, anyway, Doug took me under his wing and taught me a lot about coaching with my own sports science background and my passion to learn. And quickly I became a part of the provincial soccer program, and ultimately coaching provincial girls soccer for over 12, 15 years of my career. So provincial team anywhere from the ages of 14 up to the ages of 19. And I've got to tell you that in that time of coaching what was predominantly female soccer, I've learned more about leadership then than I ever have. And if I ever have to write a book about leadership, I would write it that everything I learned about leadership was from teenage girls. And they taught me things like empathy, things about sympathy, how to lead from behind, how to lead from the front when it's tough times, how to steward, things like that. And I'm really thankful to those individuals and those players I had the privilege of coaching, some who made the national team. It was an honor, and I'm not so sure they learned as much from me as I learned from them now that I reflect back upon that career. And so here I went back to Langara, obviously coaching and doing my sports sciences, and I started volunteering at Langara and connecting with student life, and eventually made it to UBC to complete my degree. And I went on to do my master's degree in what was coaching sciences and kinesiology. That one, literally when I finished my degree, like the day I finished my degree, I get a phone call from Harry Landboy. And Harry phones me up and he says, hey, you know, I'm a volunteer board member at the Sport Medicine Council of BC. We're looking for a sport aid coordinator. It's an entry-level job. Are you interested? Sure. He goes, well, you got to do your resume up. So I did my resume, put it in. What I didn't know at that time when I was going through the interview, I was the only one being interviewed because Harry had vouched for me. And so here I had the opportunity, and I worked for the Sport Medicine Council. That started a pretty amazing journey for me in 16 years in sport, amateur sport, that is, with the Canada Games and Team BC program. And I really, really enjoyed that. And through that, I created so many different networks. And what did I do in those roles? I was basically a sport administrator with the Sport Medicine Council of BC, then ultimately badminton, British Columbia, and ultimately gymnastics, British Columbia. And so that was, and then I also did our Team BC program, which is supported by the provincial government, and was the head of our delegation for the Canada Games, Team BC attending Canada Games from 2001 right through until 2011, and so had the honor of understanding that, but also working with Special Olympics sports as well as Paralympic sports. And so I learned a lot about sport in different aspects, different forms, and it informed my thinking, but it also expanded my networks of understanding different. So this passion for learning was there, and this passion for networking was there. So around 2001, while I was still working in the sports sector, get this phone call in late August, and it's Harry Landboy again. And this time he's saying, hey, you know, we need someone to teach a physical education course in terms of prepping sheriffs and police for their physical examinations, and that's what the POPAT and SOPAT they used to call them at that time. And he said, can you start Monday, because the instructor had fallen sick or gone on leave, I can't remember. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. He goes, don't worry, we'll give you the course outline, you can start then. So started Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. teaching these courses. And what I really quickly learned at that time was teaching was very similar to coaching, because you just had to help them students get to the point where they were successful and that they could achieve the goals that they wanted and things that they set out for themselves. And so that led to what was about a 14-year career in teaching, but I never got a permanent job at Langara until 2010 because of the opportunities. There wasn't just a permanent role, but I ended up teaching a whole bunch of different courses in the area of human kinetics. And it was really weird because these were instructors that were my instructors, now were my colleagues. In 2010, the opportunity came up for me to join Langara permanently, but the only way that would happen was I had to become the department head. And so the instructors, they're like, hey, well, you're a pretty good administrator, and we know you really well. We taught you. So guess what? You can have a permanent contract if you become an administrator. So you never realize, so this is 2001. I left Langara in 1992. These instructors remember me for that long. Not just one, not just Terry, I can list you all 5 of them. Not that they followed my careers, but they remember the impact that I had when I was at the institution, or the volunteer work that I did after. So you never know where things come full circle in the networks here. So some of you introduced yourselves to me this morning. You never know when that circle back for me or for you or for somebody else. So those are really important networks, and these types of conferences really provide for that opportunity. And I encourage all of you to take advantage of that, even if it's something simple as a handshake and, hey, here's who I am. And so here I am now, department head of instructors that taught me, and I come from a family where you respect your elders and you respect your teachers, and I'm like, I can't be their bosses, but anyway, that was fun. So my sport administration skills helped me get that job, and it quickly accelerated my career in academic administration. After department chair, I became a division chair of health sciences, which is kind of like an associate dean, and in that I had the opportunity to work with nursing, and I really picked up my admin skills from nursing as well, and that's where I got the opportunity to travel internationally, and then that led to an opportunity for me to become a dean of international education for about a 12-year career in various roles, and eventually making it up to Vice President of External at Langara. Had the opportunity to travel to 30 different countries and learn about different cultures and really learn about them at a ground level, what was important to them, and obviously international students coming back. And so it was really, really fun and important, but the importance of having that connection and being able to come back to that connection was really, really important. And throughout this whole time, I also had this cultural identity shift. So when I was coaching soccer and I became a head coach for the first time, I was scared, like I was really scared. So what do? I don't know why I did this, but I decided I wanted to go to the Hindu temple and pray that I don't lose my first game as a coach. So there's the Hindu temple's not there, it's on Marine Drive now, but it was on Albert Street in Burnaby, so there I go, knocked on the door, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the priest comes out. His name is Sharad. He comes out. I'm dressed in t-shirt and shorts. If any of you know, you shouldn't go to the temple in t-shirt and shorts. But there we go. So I come in, and he's really great. He invites me in, and he lets me do my prayers, and I did them however I felt appropriate. And then as I'm walking out, and he just says to me, he goes, quietly, just said, you know, next time maybe just put pants on. Right, so go back the next time. We won the game, by the way, I remember that. So before any major event in my life, whether it was writing an exam or going into a big tournament or something, I'd always go visit him at the temple. And slowly, he coached me, he mentored me about my own cultural identity. Started with, don't wear pants, don't wear a shirt. But then it says, don't come 1 o'clock in the afternoon, God's sleeping. Right? so he goes, all right, so I'll show up in the morning. So I show up morning or it comes in the evening, right? And then the next time he was like, you always come empty-handed. You need to bring something. And I said, well, I got money. He said, no, not always money. He goes, bring something with love, whether that's food, something you can share with others. And slowly, he started helping me understand my cultural identity and the value that had. And so that's something that I really, really personally valued and take with me. Quickly made it over here to Vancouver Community College as a vice president. It was only a 6-week journey in vice presidency, and I quickly became the interim president. And that was a crazy story in itself as well. So my first meeting with our board chair was that you're an interim president, so we want you to come in, take over for the president that's leaving. And I'm like, okay, I didn't want to be the president. Anyway, shortly thereafter, what ended up happening was that the board went through some of the processes, and they said, we actually kind of like what you're doing, and would you consider being the permanent president? So I had a conversation with my wife, and in January 2020, I decided, yeah, okay, I'll do that, and we went through the process. So if many of you know about Vancouver Community College, we are the oldest public post-secondary here. How many of you graduated from UBC? Put your hand up. Emily Carr, anybody? Langara College? BCIT? Great. All of you have Vancouver Community College to thank. All of those institutions came out of Vancouver Community College, what was Vancouver Central School. So we've been around since 1880, serving the local labor market needs. So we do programs in health, we do programs in vocational training, specifically around hospitality, culinary, tourism, auto. So if you go get your car fixed at Canadian Tire, or if someone's serving you at a restaurant, or someone's cooking for you at a restaurant, or you go get your hair done, these are probably VCC grads, whether they're nurses, they're healthcare assistants, licensed practitioners, dental hygiene, dental assistants. We've had an impact on Vancouver for over 140 years. I'm very proud of that. And so, as an institution, we are resilient. We're 15,000 students, but here's some numbers that you don't know about VCC. 65% are women. 30% are new to Canada immigrants, then another 25% international students. So over half of our student body has quite a diverse makeup. We're the only institution west of Ontario that provides programming for the blind, visually impaired, and hard of hearing. And we have the highest number of urban Indigenous learners as well. And so we have a different makeup, and we are part of this community. And the reason I love VCC so much, it reflects what you just talked about embracing change and building resilience. VCC is that institution that has been resilient for over 140 years and will continue to remain that way. Since becoming the president of VCC, I've had the privilege of meeting countless newcomers who choose the college as their first step to Canada. And it's a place where every student belongs, no matter what background you come from. And also, being at VCC, it's shown me how deeply resilient an institution can be. Many of us talked about the job openings that are coming up, over 1 million jobs over the next decade. They're going to require 40% of them will require some sort of diploma or apprenticeship. And so that's really important. And as the workforce evolves, we at VCC will evolve as well. And I know Sunita's not here now, but the shout out to the provincial government. And the provincial government has shown us confidence in that. They've helped funding a $300 million Center for Clean Energy and Automotive Innovation on our Broadway campus. That's under construction, will be done in a year and a half. But that building of that building will unleash our campus plan where VCC will also be able to provide 1,800 housing units, mixed-use development, with 20% of it being affordable, so that the city of Vancouver, with no displacement of any resident of Vancouver. And so we're really proud of the opportunity to not only build an academic building, but also have the opportunity to contribute back to the community. And that building that we're building is not just a commitment to the community and our learners, but it's a commitment to sustainability, reconciliation as well. And that center presents how education can align with purpose. So, working in a sector that's always changing, I've learned resilience isn't about staying the same, it's about changing, it's about adapting. And for me, personally, that means leading with curiosity, with a lot of humility, and a willingness to keep learning. If I have a piece of advice for young learners today, and I've got 2 kids, become a great learner, learn how to learn. Okay. At VCC, we have this saying, we are learning for real change. It's not a slogan, it's actually what we are, it's who we are. If you ever walk into our campuses, everything is real. And lifelong learning can help navigate some of that change. Whether you go through a new course, a short credential, you volunteer, learning keeps you open, relevant, and adaptable. And organizations like MOSAIC partner up with institutions like ours to provide that, or they provide it themselves to newcomers. So if I can leave you with a few messages as I close here. Number 1, you didn't come here to survive change as new immigrants. You came here to create it. That's the only way Canada has progressed forward. Is you're not here to survive and thrive. You're here to survive and change and create that change that you want to see. You already carry tools with you, if you think about it. Tools of perseverance, tools of adaptability, and courage. Second thing, your difference is not a deficit, it's an edge. It is an edge, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I didn't feel like that when I was younger, but now that I reflect on it, that difference is my edge. And I bring a different voice to a president's table. I bring a different voice to public post-secondary. And those voices should matter, because that's the only way we progress. So your difference is your edge. Have faith. You always got to have faith. And again, I say that now, reflecting back on my life. Stay resilient, but also remain curious and open. Say yes to opportunities that scare you just a little bit, like coaching, because that's actually where the growth begins. And finally, something that's guided me throughout my life, from the shared by the priest, true leadership does begin with gratitude. So give back where you can, your time, your experience, your compassion, or sometimes just your ear. That's how we keep building together. Every person here carries a story of change, one of resilience, and of courage, and that's powerful in today's world. Just remember, the diversity in this room and in our province is our strength, and it's why gatherings like this matter. Thank you very much, MOSAIC.